Hey, it's Stacy with Bridges 52.7. I'm going to take a quick minute to talk about Toy Story 5. It was sweet. I got emotional. I don't even have kids, and it like touched all the feels. Really, really landed. Also, this is a battle between old-fashioned toys and technology. Sort of a battle, but there's a tension. And you have little Bonnie, who's this wildly creative, fun, kind of unique kid who doesn't always get along with everybody else as much because she's just like more in her make-believe mind in this beautiful way. And I love that they show her as maybe a little bit different, and yet they love that about her and they celebrate it, but they also understand that it's maybe harder for her to make some friends, that she's more in her imagination world, and sometimes the real kids are scary for her. And so finally the parents make the decision to get her Lily Pad. She gets an iPad, a pad, right? Technology, a tablet. And all of a sudden she's just a zombie and she can't take her eyes off of it, as we all do, right? And so there's just a real recognition of the times and the tension that we are in for parenting, for navigate, and even just for our own selves. I mean, I struggle with this too, right? How do we navigate the balance between technology and all these things? So I just, in real life, and it's really easy to go to extremes, right? Where this is all good and we just embrace it, or it's a villain and we have to get rid of it and it's evil. And I love that the movie wrestles with those extremes and really recognizes that there needs to be a healthy tension, that this is the world we're living in and there's good and bad and all of these things. And so how do we work together? So the one thing I really want to focus on, and there's so many sweet things, but when Lily Pad comes onto the scene, the other toys are afraid. And so fear makes them see her as an enemy, and she's afraid of not proving her value and her worth or whatever. So they all end up in a battle, and really fear is at the end of this. And I feel like I've been saying this in multiple reviews lately, but this idea that really we've been told this narrative, it's a poverty mindset, and it's rooted in fear that I need to protect myself and I need to win so that I'm secure. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to get out on top in some way, which means anybody else who's trying to be top is a threat to me, right? So instead of a spirit of cooperation, there's a spirit of competition, rooted in fear and poverty mindset, in a way, but just fear of, you can call that fear from different places, but it's all rooted in fear. And I would say the poverty mindset is kind of behind that. But in this, eventually, at the end of the day, the message comes down to partnership, cooperation, love, support, working together as a team for the good of the kid, and recognizing like, actually together we can help parent this kid really well. We can help love her well. And then there's this bittersweet thing where the kids go on, and again, the toys get left behind as the kids grow up. But now there's a different understanding of like, oh, but I'm impacted their life. And I've merged a couple things together, but let me kind of parse it out just a little bit. One is this idea that the higher law is love. It is the best, the ruling, winning thing is love, and it makes everything okay. So learning to work with what even seems like an enemy, when they come together, they accomplish something. And before, it wasn't working well, right? Bonnie was just being hurt because of the competition and the insecurity between her toys. So that idea of love bringing things together in perfect unity in a way that, and whether it wasn't even their love for each other at first, it was their love for something other than them. They both loved the same thing, so they learned to work it out. And I would say there's a lot of parents that are in a divorce situation or something else where they've got someone else and they're having to learn to work it out with someone who for them may feel a bit like an enemy, and there may be tension there, but learning to put the kids first. It's a great metaphor for this in the movie, of recognizing like, this isn't about us, it's about Bonnie, and what do we do that's best for her? And as they do that, everything begins to work itself out. So, and then the second one is that really understanding the purpose. And it's not, there's an insecurity, I need to be loved forever because that's where I'm going to find my value, rather than saying, I'm going to do what's best for the kid. And if it means that there's a natural progression and they go on and I feel left behind a little bit, that's okay, because I made a mark and that was my purpose and I fulfilled my role in their life. And this letting go of things, because not needing them to stick around to validate me or to give me a sense of identity, but like I made my mark and I can release that. There was something really sweet about that. And again, coming from that place of like, that's love that casts out fear, because fear says, I'm afraid if you leave, I won't be valid anymore. So I have to hold on to you, and then I suck the life out of you, right? But love says, I want to do what's best for you, even if it's a sacrifice on my part. But then that perfect love for someone else actually, oh my dog, Daisy, stop. That perfect love actually was healing and allowed them to move on, and release the children who have gone up and left them behind with joy instead of with bitterness. So a lot of really sweet messages in this movie. And again, I just keep seeing this wave of things in our culture where over and over and over, I think there's a polarizing thing where I see a lot of movies coming out. It used to be Halloween was the time for all the scary movies, like the horror movies and stuff. Now they're like all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, I'm shocked by the proliferation of those kinds of movies, and it's not just seasonal anymore. But I'm also seeing a huge increase in this message of empathy and love. It's almost like the two forces are really rising up and taking their place dramatically, that it's becoming like a darkness and a light kind of like messaging. It's polarizing a little bit right now, which I find interesting. But also this, in the light messaging, the overall thing that I'm hearing, my dog is just desperate for me to go take her outside and play. Speaking of speaking of needing to play, I don't have toys. I have a dog and she forces me to play, which is such a blessing, but not when I'm working. Anyways, so I think, but this message of compassion, love, empathy, working together, Disclosure Day, huge. I mean, it's literally the point of the movie is empathy. He-Man had a same thing, like tenderhearted empathy, love, caring for others was the message, way more than like power, right? That was where the power comes from. So all these movies are really changing their ideas of like how we get things done, and that love is the way. And I would say in this movie, you see the same thing, that people start out as enemies, but love for something bigger than themselves actually transforms how they do things in a way that brings about healing and peace and purpose in a way that's really beautiful. So I just keep seeing this message everywhere I go, and I feel like the Lord is on the move, and he's showing up in Hollywood, because over and over and over, Hollywood is speaking to the message of the Bible in really surprising ways. All right, have a good day.